Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, or it's getting along toward evening, but good afternoon. Today is the Tuesday, June 9th, 2009 meeting of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency. Mr. City Clerk, could you call the roll?
Agency members: Friedman.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Quintero.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
Chairman Draymond.
Here. And Mr. City Clerk, could we hear your report, please?
Agenda for the June 9th, 2009 regular meeting of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency was posted on Thursday, June 4th, 2009 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you very much. Our first item
Is approval of minutes.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there are no corrections, then the minutes will stand approved as submitted. Our next item.
Next item is oral communications, and there were no oral communications cards submitted.
Very good. Then we will move on to the next item.
On the business agenda at 6A is Director of Development Services regarding Alex Theater quarterly report prepared by Glendale Arts for the period of January 1st to March 31st, 2009, and approval of a professional services agreement for design services related to the Alex Theater forecourt project. 6A1 is a motion accepting the quarterly report and ordering it filed with the Director of Development Services. And 6A2 is a motion approving the professional services agreement with Architectural Resources Group, ERG, in an amount not to exceed $20,000, including contingency.
All right. Mr. Lansfane.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Redevelopment Agency, as was indicated, two parts to this item. The first is our quarterly report, and then a forecourt design. This is for the third quarter, the months of January to March 2009. I think the headline today spoke, kind of encapsulated everything. While we experienced attendance and revenue and number of activities being down, the theater actually is experiencing less of an operating loss than a year ago, and that's mainly due to cost-cutting measures that the staff has taken, as well as some marketing programs to reduce rates and attract some users that might not otherwise be using the theater. In a nutshell, I think the theater is holding its own. If you look around the county, the region, even the state, many of the operating cultural venues are experiencing dramatic losses, and the Alex Theater is holding its own. For the second part of the report, in February, the agency authorized staff to issue a request for proposals for design services for a redesign of the Alex Theater forecourt. The purpose behind the project is to make it more flexible and adaptable to receptions, thus giving further opportunity for revenue to the theater. We sent out an RFP to 200 firms. We had 45 participate in the mandatory walkthrough. 14 submitted proposals, so there was quite a bit of interest. A group, a team, an evaluation team that had members of development services, the planning department, our historic planner and principal urban designer, as well as a board member from the art board that manages the Alex Theater, Ara Malajajian, who's an architect in town. We're on the selection team. They narrowed it down to 5, interviewed each of those, and they unanimously are recommending Architectural Resources Group for the contract. Estimated not to exceed $20,000. We have not designed the project, but our preliminary budget for it is $130,000. We are asking for your approval to enter into the contract with ARG and to accept and file the quarterly report. With that, the executive director, as well as the chair of Glendale Arts, is here. Mr. Alajajian is here, and Jay Platt, our historic planner, is here also, as well as development services staff that sat on the panel for any questions.
All right. Thank you. And I assume it's just coincidental that we're talking about, even though it's 2009, a period of January through March, we aren't contemplating setting this up as the homeless shelter, a winter shelter.
No, sir, we're not.
Only a winter shelter of the arts.
Winter shelter of the arts.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Lansfane. Mr. McComb, since I expect that there may be a question or two, and I know you're the point man, and we only get to see you rarely over here, so how about giving us a brief overview on the headline story and the front page of the Glendale News Press?
Well, it's obviously been a challenging year for us. If you remember when we came before you with our first quarter report, in spite of Councilman Najarian's wand, it was not the best report, but it must have worked. Uh-oh.
That's to Mr. Draymond.
Thank you.
And surprisingly, when as we kind of survived the summer months and came back in the fall, we instituted a lot of more aggressive marketing tactics, tried to find ways to make the theater more affordable, entered into a lot more partnerships, and wound up with October and November being the strongest October and November in the 9 years that I've been here. So we kind of went from one end of the spectrum to the other. The remainder of the year has really remained consistently strong when compared to the previous year when it comes to rental revenues. Where we're seeing the reduction is in the number of activities and even more so in attendance. A perfect case is our most recent month of May, which we just completed. Rental revenues actually slightly exceeded a year ago, but attendance was down by over 50%. And, that is a trend that I think we're all looking at. However, tomorrow night we have a show that's sold out. So, if the right attractions come to the theater, they're priced right, we do have proof that shows can do business. We, going back probably more closer to a year and a half ago, saw the trends as they were starting to materialize. Very early on, started putting cost control measures into place, and that's really why I think we're standing before you with an improvement over where we were a year ago. The one thing I'd like to say that I think we're most proud of is that in implementing those cost control measures, we did not eliminate any positions or lay anybody off. So our staff has remained in whole.
Very good. And one of the reasons I wanted you to comment, Mr. McComb, is because in case some reader wasn't absolutely plugged into the nuance of all of this, they might have walked away from reading the article with the idea that, well, if we just shut the place down, then it would be even more in the black. It is our performing arts center for the city, and it is one we are proud of and have a commitment to. So it is not something that we are obviously delighted that maybe we're in the black a little bit more because some of the operations are having to be curtailed. In any case, I just wanted to make sure that any reader that was out there reading saying, gee, well, the only reason that the Alex Theater looks like it's in the black, as they worded it, is simply because we're curtailing programs.
I can tell you that the early indications as we look into the fall and even the summer is that business is on an uptick from a booking standpoint. Some of the presentations that are currently on our calendar in the fall I actually think are very exciting and bringing a lot of new flavor of performing arts to the theater. We have some headline entertainment that we're not at liberty to quite announce yet, but hopefully within a month or two we'll be ready. And, unless the bottom totally drops out, I think for us, we've kind of seen the bottom and we're on our way back up.
Let me ask my colleagues if they have any questions on the on 6A1. Mr. Najarian. I'm sorry, Mr. Najarian and then Mr. Quintero.
Couple questions, Barry. It seems like you're always booked. I mean, I see there's, evenings, there's always people spilling out. Is there anything that we can do as a council to assist in the bookings? Valet parking zone out front or whatever. I mean, you're there, you hear the comments. What can we do at this level of policy making that may help?
Improvement projects such as the forecourt redesign are right in line because it makes us more marketable for a wider range of activities. I think one of the trouble areas for us still is when it comes to film shoots and the perception that Glendale is not a film-friendly city. I know that there's various members of staff that continue to look at that and find ways to streamline the process for organizations coming. I mean, film shoots, especially during the summer months for us, are a huge piece of business. And any way we can make Glendale more attractive to bring those sorts of productions here, not only does it benefit us, it benefits the businesses around us, caterers. It is amazing what the trickle-down is. From a marketing standpoint, we're doing what we can. I think the fact that we have not lost more business is just kind of a testament to Glendale as a whole. One of our biggest ways to market the theater is just the fact that, Glendale's easy access off two major freeways. There's something like 60 restaurants within close proximity to the Alex. We have easy parking, which we're certainly seeing more of our patrons now moving into the parking garages since the new parking program has started downtown. And it's a safe community, which a lot of areas in Los Angeles that are theater districts don't have those attributes, and I think that's one thing that's helped us there. The recent addition of the orchestra shell, which was a 2-year-long process for us, but fortunately we were able to get through it. And if you saw the headline that was in the LA Times going back a couple months ago after we debuted it at a Los Angeles Chamber Orchestra performance, the headline was "Sound Much Improved at Alex Theater," for all people to see. And that's already led to some inquiries from additional groups who had left us because the sound was so horrible for classical music presentations, now starting to investigate coming back to us.
Mr. Quintero and then Mr. Weaver.
I wanted to thank you and the board. I think you're doing an excellent job, as usual, in a very tough climate. And I'm very happy that Mr. Alajajian is going to be part of the design team. I think that's going to absolutely bring it in on budget and in the right to exactly what we need to get that court. Now, are there any specific ideas that you've come up with so far in terms of the courtyard?
When we pieced together RSP, we pieced together kind of a wish list of things that we'd like to see, and a lot of that was based on complaints that we get now when we've tried to hold similar events there. It's almost impossible to do things during the day there because it's so hot, so we're looking at some sort of retractable sunshade system. In the wintertime, we get complaints it's too cold, so we're looking for some sort of a heater system actually installed in the walls. We're looking to try to dampen the sound. The other issue we get is too much street sound. Well, the one thing that we discovered during film shoots was that when they bring in sound curtains and drape across the front gate, it kills it. So we're looking for some sort of pocket door system so we can have a sound curtain that can be pulled across the front gate during those types of events that will dampen the street noise. We're looking to upgrade the PA system in the forecourt so we don't have to bring in a portable one. We're looking at better ways to sell concessions and to be able to serve people in faster fashion. And probably one of the more exciting pieces of it, back in the original forecourt design, there was a water feature, large fountain. Obviously, we're not trying to restore the forecourt back to its original configuration for a variety of reasons, but we are looking to bring a water feature back, and we're hoping to incorporate as part of that a donor wall, which we'll use to raise funds to help seed the endowment to help fund projects once the deadline of 2015 comes and goes with the agency funding.
Very good ideas.
All right, Mr. Weaver.
Eric, you talked about the acoustics in there now. Speak to the before and after of the speaker system that you put in, which I understand is probably the best in the world that you can get. What the impact of that was?
Well, it's definitely brought more attention to us as a concert venue. There are other challenges we're facing, which is when a lot of artists come to the Los Angeles area, they want to play Sunset Strip or one of the theaters on Wilshire, but we as Glendale Arts have decided as we go into next year, we're starting to return to programming in a cautious fashion. And one of the ways that we're able to do that is we spent the last 2 years starting to build up a programming fund. So if we lose money on a show, that money can be replaced with money from the programming fund rather than coming from operations and impacting other areas of our business. And that's kind of a fund that will continually self-fund. So we're going to start to bring in headline entertainment ourselves, which will start to knock down the doors. Without telling you who we have coming, I'll just tell you that 2 people we've confirmed for the fall. We were in competition against Live Nation, who were looking to do them in Long Beach, and we succeeded in both cases. So to me, that's a big step forward. Part of it is the fact that we're becoming more of a turnkey facility. So we're hoping that as promoters see us holding shows like we're about to that are successful, that then they'll be willing to come and take a chance bringing similar shows to the venue.
Well, one of the things I was leading up to is I know the sound system you had in there before, you'd have acts come. They would have to supplement your sound system because it was so bad.
Well, the problem before was the sound system that was installed when the theater first reopened in 1993 was based for more live theatrical productions, spoken word. It was not meant for amplified performances. So what we have now is a stereo sound system that at the time we put it in was actually almost ahead of state of the art. It's now being used by a lot of national traveling acts across the country. And, for anyone who's experienced it at its full capacity, really produces a very crisp, clear experience for patrons in the audience and has eliminated a lot of the dead zones that we used to have to contend with in various locations in the theater.
All right. And in case you weren't aware, Mr. McComb, what was happening off to your left there was one of my colleagues trying to wheedle the names of the headliners out of Mr. Lansing. I'm guessing that's what that was about. So
Well, I'll tell you, one is...
I did not get anywhere, for the record.
I'll tell you, one is a comedian and one is a musical artist. So I've narrowed the field down
That
for you
narrows
now.
it down.
Okay.
You need a motion?
Councilmember Friedman, did you have any? Okay. All right. Let me just ask, can these be taken together? So let's take these together as one motion if we could.
Mr. Freeman, I'd like to move 6A, 1 and 2.
Second.
Motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, Mr. Kosaki, if you'd call the roll.
Agency members Friedman.
Yes.
Najarian.
Yes.
Quintero.
Yes.
Weaver.
Aye.
Chairman Draymond.
Yes. Thank you very much, one and all. Thanks for coming. Where are we now?
Any agency member or staff comments?
Are there any? I do have one. Mr. Lansfame, there was an article in the paper dealing with DreamWorks and the easement and the Riverwalk, and the sense was that it's come to an impasse and we're the whole project has come to a grinding halt. Could you shed a little light on that?
No, in fact, that's not the case. If that was the impression, perhaps I can clear that up for you. In fact, we are talking with DreamWorks, and we're in our final round of comments on the easement itself. It's fair to say, I think, that the agreement is 15 years old, and it didn't anticipate the level of detail that we're finding is necessary to implement that today. So we're doing some of that. As I say, Ms. Van Meiden and Ms. Sansoni in the City Attorney's Office have sent final comments back to DreamWorks Council. They are reviewing it. In fact, we hope to have their final comments by the end of the week. We have already looked at legal descriptions and done that. So with any luck, this could be done next week. DreamWorks has been cautious, but they have been working with us the entire time, and we hope to be able to deliver that easement for the Riverwalk project to move forward.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Lansfame. Are there any other staff or council comments? If not, our next item is...
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you.